Alright, what up gang? So today's video I will be explaining to you how I pretty much have more real estate than the average parent. Now I already know a couple of you in the comments are going to be like, yo, my daddy has 30 properties, you're absolutely nobody. And that's totally fine, I'm not talking to you, right? I'm talking to the most average person possible. I truly at 22 got 9 Airbnb properties. I just turned 23 like 2 weeks ago. And to get 9 Airbnb properties at that age is a bit of an accomplishment, right? I don't mean to glaze myself or anything like that. That is not what I'm trying to do. But it is an achievement, and I kind of just wanted to share exactly why I did that. Now, just for reference, a lot of people that get into real estate, they are already rich people, all right? They already come from money. They are trust fund babies. I promise you, I am not that, all right? I came to the US by myself when I was 15, and I built this business all by myself, all right? And again, I'm not trying to gas myself up. That is not what I'm trying to do here. But a lot of people that get into real estate, the point that I'm trying to make is that they already come from money. I, on the other hand, did not. All right. So you guys can take my word for it or not, right? My point is, I do not have anything to sell you. All right. I'm giving away this sauce completely for free because this is what I wish I could have heard when I started off. All right. I think on YouTube, I just broke 51 subscribers. All right. So it's not like I have a huge audience that I'm selling anything to or none of that. All right. So, how I started this business model. For those of you who don't know what I do, my name is Avik, and around 2 or 3 years ago, I started to get into real estate. All right. Now, originally, my plan was to buy a house, but then I realized I needed a ton of money in order to buy a house. So, that was not worth it for me, and I ended up just not even doing that whatsoever. Now, the second option for me, once I realized that buying houses was out the question, was to look at different avenues of real estate. All right. So, I looked at wholesaling, I looked at Section 8, I looked at flipping homes, and I finally came upon the model that I do now, which is Airbnb arbitrage. And the thing that I like about this business model is it is explained so simply. I rent a property from a landlord. I pay them rent every single month, but I furnish their property and I put their property on Airbnb. If rent is $2,000 and I make $4,000 on that property, I keep the 2K in profit. It is essentially drop shipping, but with real estate. All right. It is beautiful and I like it a ton. The thing that I like about it a ton is it is very simple. It is stupidly simple. A dumb 5-year-old could understand that concept, right? There's a lot of flashy business models out here nowadays. I got distracted by a bunch of flashy models such as SMMA, right? Everyone that's watched Iman Gadzhi, the whole info product space, they know SMMA can be great, but to be honest, you kind of are faking it till you make it a lot of times. And a lot of people, I would say 99% of people fail at SMMA or an agency, then they actually do succeed, right? But that's not the point of the video. The point that I'm trying to make is I liked this business model because it was so stupidly simple, right? And people often think that, oh, well, in order to start this business, you have to have a ton of money, right? That is not true whatsoever. I did not have any money. I, in fact, only had $500 to my name. And what I did with those $500 was I opened up an LLC. I got an EIN number, all right? An EIN is kind of like your business's social security number. And through that business, I opened a business credit card. I went on Chase, I went on Amex, I went on Bank of America, and I opened up business credit cards. The reason business credit cards are so useful is because they are 0% interest and they usually have much higher limits as well. And that is exactly how I was able to fund every single one of my Airbnbs, right? My first Airbnb all the way through my ninth were all funded through business credit cards. And whatever profits those properties made, I ended up putting them back into the cards. And eventually, once they broke even, which usually is within 3 to 4 months, I kept all the profits, all right? So I was in college. It was my sophomore year. I had just started an SMMA. It failed. I was back to ground zero. And I was like, okay, you know what? I need to get into real estate because usually millionaires are made through real estate, but I can't start buying homes. So I ended up doing Airbnb arbitrage. Now, day after day, I was in statistics class. That was my first class of the day every single morning, all right? And I remember I would go to class. I'd just woken up, would go to class, get ready. And the first thing I would do is go out on Zillow, all right? And I would research properties. I would look at properties. I would just constantly reach out to every single landlord that was in my area, and I would try to sell them on the business model. I probably got over 200 people that said no before I finally got someone that was even remotely interested. Just because they're remotely interested does not mean that they will actually go through with the deal, all right? It took me literally 3 or 4 months of just constantly trying every single morning in that statistics class throughout the rest of the day until I finally found someone that was actually open to the business model. And once they actually agreed to it, I mean, the rest is history, right? I kept on scaling and I kept on getting more and more properties. That is essentially how I built a real estate empire, in my opinion, all while being in college. All right, I just graduated 2 months ago. And it's funny because the one character trait that I have seen that either makes people or breaks people in this business model is consistency. All right. A lot of people that watch this, they just cannot be consistent to save their life. All right. It's insane. It really is insane. But all it takes in order to just master this game, in order to get into this business, is just be consistent. I promise you, as long as you're consistent, as long as you just set a goal of, hey, every single day, I will just reach out to 20 landlords, or hey, every single day, I will DM 10 landlords, right? Eventually, you will find someone that is open to the business model. You just cannot quit. So, that's essentially, I mean, I don't know, there's no secret sauce, right? There's no method, there's nothing crazy that I can put you on to essentially get you your first Airbnb. All right, that is all there is to it. Just be consistent, be relentless, and that is the one character trait I've seen constantly that either makes a person as an entrepreneur or breaks them as an entrepreneur. And again, obviously it's easier said than done. That's really all there is to it. And yeah, you guys, that's pretty much it for today's video. Exactly how I pretty much have more real estate than a lot of people in the US will ever have in their lifetime, and how next year I'm planning to buy my first couple properties as well because I finally have 2 years of actual income. And yeah, follow along to see me continue to scale this. Peace.